Hello, this is Pastor Lomax, and I want to share some encouraging words with you today, especially to my brothers. I'm doing a series of messages on men. I'm talking about what it means to be a son, a brother, a husband, and a father. Today, let me share a few words with you from the 15th chapter of the Gospel according to Luke about what it means to be a son. The 15th chapter of Luke has three short stories in it. We call them parables. The parable of the lost coin, the parable of the lost sheep, and then the parable that we typically call the parable of the prodigal son. But it's actually two sons in this particular story. One son gets most of the attention, and I'd like to draw my attention to him today also, but not for the with a traditional interpretation. I'd like to offer some additional insight into this young man that helps him move towards a place of immaturity to maturity. We know the traditional story, how the young man asked the father for his portion of the estate. The father gives it to him, and he goes away from home, and he wastes all of the resources that the father gives to him. He finds himself in an unfortunate position of having no resources left, no friends left, and having to take a job which was countercultural and even beneath his training, his experience, and his dignity. But while in that situation, he comes to himself. He begins to think about it. And then he reverses how he's been thinking for the past several days, months, or years. And what he does, he determines that he can go back home to his father's house, that he can repent or apologize for what he's done and said to his father, and that he can start his life differently, starting it from a position of humility rather than arrogance and confidence, and then beginning to lead an entirely different path. Now, in spite of this young man's mistakes, he has so many positive attributes that are often overlooked. First of all, I'd like to share he had ambition. The young man said to his father, "Give me my portion of the estate that belongs to me." It's not just an act of rebellion, but it's an act of confidence. It's a way of saying, I want to do more than just stay here and live off what you've done. I want to go out and do my own thing and make my own mark in the world. All men, all boys need to have a healthy dose of ambition. Not arrogance, not pride, not a lot of pomposity, but ambition, the desire to do more, not just for self, but for others. In addition to his ambition, the young man had survival skills. He left home, he took the resources that his father had given to him. He wasted them. He ended up with nothing. He has a job as a pig keeper. He's eating pig food. And the young man still is alive. He has not succumbed to the dangers, to the difficulties. He hasn't gone crazy. Somehow he survives. This means he comes from a very strong environment. And what he does, he says to himself, I'm going back to my father's house, and I'm going back as a servant, and I'll work my way through. That's a survival skill, to be able to think under pressure, to be able to think when everything is going wrong, when nothing goes as it's planned, and to think your way through it. That's a survival skill. Not only did he have survival skills, but he had the ability to discern. He didn't use his ability to discern on other people, but he used it on himself. He looked at his situation and said, man, I'm not in the situation I should be in. And he used that gift to say, I can do better than this. I can do different than this. That's a survival skill, to do self-analysis, to look at oneself and say, you didn't do so well with this, and you need to start over, and you can do better. Also, this young man had the capacity for humility. He was able to go back, to humble himself and say, Father, I've sinned. I've sinned against you, and I've sinned against heaven, and I want another chance. That's humility. Some people have so much pride that it prevents them from saying I was wrong and that I'd like another chance. And so the capacity for humility is also a powerful survival skill. He had a willingness to repent. That means to change how he was walking, change how he was rolling. And the young man, while in the pig pen, said, I'm not going to start what I stopped. Did you catch that? Some people, when they get in trouble, go back to what they just stopped. He said, I'm not going to start what I stopped. I'm going to find a new way to live and to live a life that's decent, that's pleasing to God, and that's pleasing to my Father, and a life that I can be proud of. So I've talked about several survival skills. I've talked about ambition. I've talked about the ability to survive. I talked about discernment, the capacity for humility, the willingness to repent. The young man also asked for accountability. He told his father when he got back, it was unsolicited. He said, you know, Dad, I'm willing to be one of your servants. That means I don't have the freedom that I used to have. The servant has to be responsible to his employer for his time, for his effort, for his productivity. And he says, I'm willing to be accountable. And I'm willing for you to hold me accountable so that I can be my best self. So he asked for accountability. And no man can be the best that he can be without accountability. All of us need to be accountable to someone. And then finally, the young man has just an admirable and a powerful trait where he was willing and able to receive the pardon. Sometimes we mess up so bad and we take such a misstep in life that when someone tries to be kind to us, we don't think we deserve it. And what they're offering to us would actually help us feel better and accelerate our progress in life. So when the father offered him a celebration, he didn't say, oh no, Dad, I'm not worthy of that. Don't waste your time doing that. Don't spend any more money on me. He gladly accepted it, and they had a big celebration in his honor. You and I can learn from that. There are times when we also mess up and when we also take a misstep. All of us do. But God offers us his pardon, and he offers us forgiveness, and then he offers us an opportunity to celebrate the victory in our own life with him. God bless you, and we look forward to talking to you about the next aspect of manhood, and that is about the brother. Thank you so much.